Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. Another day, another pod, no, not another film. Usually we're not reacting to, that'd be weird for a sort of podcast setting, although I can see that being a sort of format that could work. Maybe the people do that, sort of react to films whilst filming like a live podcast. That would have to be at least minimum length of that film to, for the reaction to fit in that podcast. That might be a thing that happens. I'm not going to trademark it because it might be an awful idea and I don't want my name attached to that, but it might be an amazing idea. And if it is, then pretend I trademarked it. We're reviewing the Oscars, which is a weird thing to do, review an award show, but it's entertainment. I ain't got a film right now. I mean, I got two I'm going to do. I took a couple of days off, which is sort of anti against the name, which is a pod a day, sort of meant to be doing one every single day, but I took a few days off because, I kind of ran out of films I didn't like, basically, or at least didn't like and still cared about talking about, which is the whole aim. Is to sort of recommend films I don't like because I have bad taste, and therefore if I recommend films I don't like, there's a good chance that you do like them. I sort of try and think of a little review for the letterbox. Still need to link that somewhere, but it should be linked. But yeah, I just thought the Oscars have happened. Sometimes I did Dune, which is a film I do like, so we can sort of break the mold occasionally. And I gotta be honest with you, man. I've been trying to get into my films a little bit more recently. I've been trying to get into my movies, going to the cinema, the big screen, the way the director intended it, all that great stuff. Probably have been trying to do that a little bit more within the last 3 years, let's say. And I have to say, it's like, I don't really know what the word for it is. Like, you're getting into something. It's sort of similar actually to Formula One. Getting into Formula One now, but it's like a lot of people who've liked Formula One for the past 20, 30 years. It's not like all of a sudden you're getting into it and now you're going to immediately have good conversations with those people who have been in it for the last 30 years because they just like the sport in a different kind of way. Not a better kind of way or a worse, but just very different, And I just feel like, no matter how much I've tried to get into films a little bit more, my opinions, for example, or like what I value in the Oscars or films in general, or just anything, any little thing, any little talking point that comes up surrounded by films. Like if a director makes a quote and it blows up and people are like, that's not right, or that other people are like, that is right. I feel like my views very rarely align on the same level. And basically, just on a low level thing here, everyone who loves the Oscars, this is their Super Bowl, right? I'll call in this year's Oscars, before, by the way, the award show and what the results were, just like the list of films, the lineup, right, if you will, as being like, oh, this is the best we've had in a long time. Next year's isn't going to be as strong. It's looking pretty weak right now. They've been saying, we've just been blessed. And they posted the 10 best picture nominees and said, wow, this really is going to go down in history as one of the best lineups ever. And I was looking at them like, I've seen Oppenheimer and I've seen Barbie because, those we had to. The marketing told me I had to see them both, so I did, right? But like, aside from those two films, genuinely, I gotta say this right now, I'm like, this is the worst Oscars since I've been trying to start watching. It's probably the films I've seen the least of. Like, I just have no interest in a lot of these types of films, or like want to see them, and it's like, it doesn't mean they're not good. Like, that's the thing. I'm not saying all the films this year nominated are bad, but they're not entertaining, or like, well, I'm not saying that, but they're not in my wheelhouse, I'll say. That's semi-self-deprecating, but also just it's just like the zone of interest, Anatomy of a Fall. Actually, I should probably, can I be asked to bring them up? But like, the thing is, probably something like Oppenheimer isn't like biopics. I'm not usually massive. It's kind of a it is a biopic, right? I guess. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't want to get slewed already, but like, I probably mainly saw that because of the cast. I liked a lot of the actors in it. That's a lot of the reasons why I see films. I'm like, do I like the cast? I do. Okay, I'll check it out. So it's like, for example, if Cillian Murphy wasn't in it and the main guy was being played by Rami Malek instead, and Cillian Murphy was playing Rami Malek's role, would I like the film as much? Honestly, probably no. Which would probably disgust some people. But I can't help it. That's just a lot of it is like, actors are probably 60% of my enjoyment level. That's quite a lot because you still got to fit in sort of like music and like the visuals and everything else. And it's like those things are important. Dialogue, obviously, there's a bunch of important shit. even 60 maybe is like too high. Maybe I should actually make a pie chart and try and work it out. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll open Excel pie sheet. I don't know what I'm saying now. I'm making up software, but like maybe I'll do that. I'll try and figure out what's important to me. And if off the top of my head, it's like the actors in it, and the performances they're giving would be like the largest proportion. I know Denny what's his last name again? Tiptoe around saying Villeneuve. No, it's not that. That's Villeneuve. Is it just Villeneuve? Is it really just that simple? Everyone acts like it's like really tricky, like Denny Dylan. Yeah, can't even get the first name right. Denny Villeneuve. People always do that. They just like kind of just go Villeneuve because they just don't even want to try in case it's wrong. But I think it might just be as simple as Villeneuve, maybe. Probably not. Actually, no. I'm just sort of smug about it. But like he was saying, like how so many iconic things people rely on dialogue, but the best parts of cinema are iconic images. So it's kind of like what you find is important. I probably only recently I've started to give a bit more respect to sort of sound and music and that kind of stuff. Like it's all important, but I'm just saying the thing that got me sitting down watching Oppenheimer was Cillian Murphy. I'm just being real. So obviously he won. He won. Honestly, that Bradley Cooper was the thing that could have happened, and I would have been not happy. But honestly, Bradley Cooper's back in my good books because I've always liked Bradley Cooper enough. I've never really had much of a good or bad opinion about Bradley Cooper. But then his whole Oscar campaign is like he really wants this Oscar, so he's like doing a biopic and he's playing the main character and he's the director and the producer, whatever. So it's like you're playing a biopic, which is typically usually Oscar baity kind of movie, right? So you're gonna do a biopic. You're gonna play the main guy. You're gonna do like a conductor guy where you're going to be out there sort of just sweating while sort of just throwing your head around and the hair's flopping all about as you could do the conducting or whatever. But it's not just that you're playing that role, it's that you're also directing it. So when I see like a slow zoom in on Bradley Cooper's face as he does the wild conducting and stuff and he's all sway, in my head all I can think is Bradley Cooper decided for that. Like he's like, okay, and this is going to be my Oscar-y scene. So what I want is I want to slow zoom in on my face because I'm just going wild with it. I'm just going crazy. And it just felt too self-indulgent, like begging it for an Oscar. But then you want Abbott's Elementary, or Abbott Elementary. Do you still call them sitcoms? Would it be called a sitcom? I don't even know how you use that word, but the comedy. Because they have like, I haven't seen Abbott's Elementary since I think the first season, or maybe I saw 2 seasons of it. I think there's like 4 now. I think maybe I only saw the first season or the first 2. They have like a guest, not like it's kind of like a guest star, kind of like cameo kind of person in what seems to be every episode. Because I always see like 15-second clips on Twitter. I'm basically completely consuming the show through Twitter within the last couple of years because they just put out the clips of like, oh, this person's in it. Oh, that person's in it. And like, flavor of the week this week, Bradley Cooper's in it. He does the Rocket Raccoon voice. But this time, the Rocket Raccoon voice, you're seeing it come out of Bradley Cooper's mouth and not a CGI raccoon's mouth. And immediately, much like other people, I was like, oh, I like Bradley again. Bradley's a cool guy. Yeah, actually, Bradley's alright. He's up there doing the raccoon voice. And it's like, even while watching it come out of his mouth, it's like, is it ADR? It sounds like it's ADR, but it's coming out of his mouth. Like, I know it's his voice. I know they're not like massively altering it, but it's just like, it's so different. It's voice acting. I don't actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Some people do it all the time. If you want to be impressed, sometimes you're impressed because you're like, wow, look at Cillian's range. How did he manage to play this character? And they post like 4 different screenshots of different movies he's in. And then you always get that sort of smug little Twitter comment reply like, it's called acting. It's called being an actor. It's called sort of playing different characters. It's called acting. Bradley Cooper can do the voice. Yeah, it's called voice acting. It's not that crazy. It's like, yeah, okay, mate. Yeah, you're fun. Yeah, I get it. Okay, like what kind of replies? I hate when people say that. I hate when people, yeah. Why are people so blown away with this? It's called acting. Like it's lit. Okay, mate. Yeah, well, it's good acting though. That's sort of the point everyone's making. Go bother someone else. Anyway, what else happened at these Oscars? It was kind of fun though. I actually think this was like as fun as the Oscars can be without it coming across as too like this or that or boring or self-indulgent or pretentious or circle jerky or whatever, right? As good as something like this can be, it was pretty good considering how boring I found the lineup, and not only how boring I found the lineup of films to be. Again, that's just an opinion, but like how obvious all of the winners were. I think lead actress is the only one where it was like it's either gonna be Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone. Oh, two different stones. I only put that. I only realized that now. That's not really anything of interest, but I just noticed. Like it was always going to be Robert Downey Jr. It was always going to be Divine Joe Randolph. It was always going to be Cillian Murphy. It was always going to be Oppenheimer did win, right? Before I say that, pretty sure Oppenheimer won. It was always going to be Nolan. Like you could just tell that from like the first sort of sparks of what's going to happen in like the build up to like the Oscars from like the BAFTAs and the Critics' Choice and the whatever, right? And honestly, by the time I actually got to the Oscars and I sat down and I was thinking, if he had to push me one way, I would have said Emma Stone. That is her name, right? Emma Stone. I've got it written down here somewhere. Yeah, it's Emma Stone. Um, I mean, honestly, but the thing about Emma Stone and her reaction is, I'm not saying she's disingenuous or she's forcing this reaction. Maybe a more negative past version of me would have been like, oh, she's so forcing that to look like the humble one. When in reality, probably people would probably just react shocked like that. But it's like it wasn't that insane that you were gonna win. You won at previous awards. I'm not sure which ones. Maybe it was like Critics' Choice and like SAG or something. You kind of had like equal awards going into it. And like honestly, I feel like she would have given the exact same reaction. And also, this is your second one. Not saying that, but this is your second one now. And also, even if she was like the least likely to win, she had won nowhere, and like people just gave her zero chance. Then like the reaction she gave when she won is the reaction I would have expected um, Ryan Gosling to give if he would have won for Barbie. Well, for Ken in Barbie, right? Um, just like that. Uh, is this like a Moonlight fucking La La Land thing, or is it actually me type thing? Um, but she's just one of those people. She reacts like that. She's just shocked when she won, and I haven't seen Poor Things. I really don't want to see it. I feel like it'd be a good thing to see just for this because I know I won't like it, and therefore it would be good for this. A lot of people did like it. Obviously, it's like a lot of people say it was like their best film they've seen in like a long like half a decade, maybe like crazy shit like that. And I'm just like it's just like I know what I like, or like I'm a good judge of like what I'm gonna like before having to see it. People always push you to go, well, no, you have to see it before you can give. I'm not giving a definitive opinion. I'm not saying specific things I like and don't like about it because I haven't seen it. But like generally speaking, I won't like it. Okay, it's gonna fall into like a similar bag of like the French Dispatch to me, where it's like, okay, no, this is as much as I try and get into films, there will just be stuff that I could just never cross the line over, and like the French Dispatch, Poor Things. It's just like I don't. It's not. Please don't make me. I just don't even like the sound of the concept. Like she's got a baby brain, but she's like learning stuff, and I just don't like it. And it's all arty farty, and it's just like, it's people doing like the over top. I don't know. I don't. No, thank you, please, no thanks. I don't want to see it. And she won for that. She's won one already. I think maybe it would have been, give it Lily Gladstone instead. She kind of seemed like she would have been the favourite, and then all of a sudden Emma Stone won at like Critics' Choice or something, and it kind of threw a spanner in the works, and then she won somewhere else. Um, but to be honest, I haven't seen Killers of the. This is the thing. I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon. I haven't seen Poor Things. I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall. I haven't seen The Society of a Snow. I ain't seen of the Snow of Snow. I haven't seen there was another one. I ain't seen most of this stuff, and it's like, although I can appreciate, but this is the thing, I watch the show and I'm like, I haven't seen any of these films really. It's all obvious who's gonna win. Maybe less so in more of the technical categories and stuff. I saw The Boy and the Heron one. Again, I ain't seen that. I would have been rooting for Spider-Verse because I'm a cat. I am. I saw like 8 films last year. I'm a casual. I'm basic. I wanted what can I say? I mean, you gotta say it's a great lineup when it's considered basic though to want Across the Spider-Verse to win. Is it called Across? Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse to win. When that film isn't basic, like the basic films in there would have been like elemental, you know. But what can you do? I just wasn't really backing anyone. The only person I was really backing to win was Killian, and it was obviously he was going to win from a long time, so that was cool. I saw Robert Downey Jr. This is what I mean as well. Sometimes proper into it film fans, I've said this so many times, but the word I would just use to describe people sometimes, the way they talk about things on Twitter is just so precious. Everyone is just so precious about something. It's just like, just chill out. It's not that deep. Robert Downey Jr. didn't look Ki Hoi Kwan, and that's his name, right? Yeah, from Everything Everywhere All at Once and like other stuff. Didn't look him in the eyes properly. Just took the award out of his hand. He gave the most sort of time to everyone else. Didn't really give much time of his time to, because there was like five different previous supporting actor winners on the stage who present you with the award, and it's just as simple as, you know, you go up there, you take it, you're in the moment. Maybe you recognize someone more than someone else, so you're like, hey, and you're like already in the mindset of like, I've just won this thing and I already recognize you from this thing, so I'm gonna go over here and get. It's just like whatever. And then backstage, you probably spoke to everyone equally and was like, great. It's just like, did anyone else notice how Robert Downey Jr. didn't give Ki Hoi Kwan enough eye contact? Problematic. Don't. It's just like, if you got a pause, rewind, pause that, play back slow motion. You know, right, like the guy from The Incredibles, right there. You know, sort of. Did you see that sort of thing? Like a crazy person. Then it's not worth it. It's not worth making a conversation about realistically. But you know, what can you do? And also, I mean, Billie Eilish became the youngest person ever to win two Oscars, but it's impressive. Why am I trying to discredit it? But it's like, it is for making a song. Like, I feel like it'd be more impressive to do it as like, you know, it's like a song though, and these are like, you made the songs. That's good. I'm not. I'm taking it away. I'm just saying, like, you know, the acting awards is where but you know, it's whatever. And then also, Jimmy Kimmel, well, didn't eat shit like Joe Coy ate shit. At whichever, I think it was the Golden Globes. I remember titling that video Joe Coy ate shit. No, I think he did fine enough on the night, but again, it was a lot of like people lip reading, audience members and stuff, and like he didn't go down well. And what I would say is, it feels like a lot of the time, whether you go down well or like do a good job, just kind of depends on like what the other celebrities in the room think. It's like all these people who host these award shows, to me, they all do a very similar job. They all make very similar level and style of jokes, with the same kind of setups and the same kind of mix of maybe a little self-deprecating here and there. John Mulaney does that, a little more of the self-deprecating to like sort of shoot at himself before, if he's going to shoot at anyone else. But you know, just sort of light-hearted jokes about people. Like, isn't it? You know, it's all very similar. And whether Twitter decides if it was good or not, or you ate shit or not, just depends on when they cut to the audience, if the audience was eating up or not eating up. Like, if the audience was taking it as a hot, and like it cut to like Emma Stone, people were like doing a little lip reading detective work saying, oh, she said Jimmy Kimmel's a prick after that line, or like Robert Downey Jr. being like, it's a bit on the nose, mate, to some of his jokes and like wind it up type thing. And it's just like, it's probably just who's likable, because like honestly, John Mulaney could make a similar style of thing, a similar kind of joke or whatever, but people just like John Mulaney. So you know what? For next year's Oscars, you should probably just get John Mulaney, because he hosted an award type show earlier this year. Everyone loved him. They were clipping him up. It was quite soon after the Joe Coy thing, so everyone was saying, you know, comparing that. And then again, John Mulaney came up and he presented the Sound Award, I think, this year. All the positivity was for John Mulaney. Maybe just get John Mulaney to do the Oscars, because people seem to really like John Mulaney. You know, just get a guy who people seem to like, and it'll probably go down well. I feel like it's more, not that John Mulaney's not funny. I do think he probably is the funniest, well, definitely is the funniest out of Joe Coy and Jimmy Kimmel. But outside of being the funniest, he's also likable. And I feel like that's probably a big thing. I'm not actually sure why Jimmy Kimmel's so unlikable, which is actually also awkward because it's a talk show. And all of these people who apparently hate him and are watching him do his presenting are on his talk show presenting their films half the time, when they're pretending to have a rapport, when they're pretending to like make discoveries in conversation when really it's all planned, and he pulls out a little board and shows it. It's just talk shows for you. But yeah, that was the Oscars. John Cena was there naked. That's what I think. That's what I mean. It was like they made it a little bit entertaining. It was all cute little stuff. It was like, oh, that's cute. Oh, a little gag here. Like, oh, I see what you did there. Ryan Gosling performed "I'm Just Ken." It was like a whole big thing. Greg Gerwig was loving it. He had a little dog who was clapping his hands, and well, that wasn't actually his hands. Sorry if I spoiled that for you, ruined the illusion. But it's just a man on the floor, and all that kind of shit was going down, and it's just a bunch of little cute stuff made it enjoyable enough. It wasn't on too late. I feel like when I watched Will Smith slap Chris Rock, I felt like I was up at about 3 a.m. when it showed, because obviously I'm in England. So I was eyes red raw, lying in bed on my side, watching it through like crust, and then whoosh, and that woke me up. But yeah, the Oscars review done to you in absolutely average fashion. Dankeschön.